Hi, welcome to Thursday Night Reading Sprints. I'm sorry for the late start. I will say that was completely my fault. My toddler is still awake upstairs. So when we go to the first sprint, I'll probably disappear straight away to sort him out. But you'll see that I'm joined by two new faces today. So people that I know from social media, but have not met in virtual real life. But it feels like real life, doesn't it? Not quite, more than talking on Instagram. Do you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your channels, and then we'll talk about what we're reading in the sprint. So Lauren, do you want to start off and just tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, sure. My name is Lauren. I started my YouTube channel last summer. Yeah, late summer, early August. And it's just really my creative outlet to kind of bring the spooky vibes all year long, and be able to kind of connect with folks who also really love to watch movies, read books, like anything that kind of is like horror related. So I've had a lot of fun doing that. And yeah, it's been like really fun to play around with different things and get to know other people and what they're reading and what's like the new releases and all that stuff. It's like a whole community that I can't believe exists. It's so cool to see people just knowing what's being released and all that. So that's like been really cool and unexpected.
Yeah, I never expected to do this, but it was because of COVID that I started my channel, that all my book events, when my book came out, were all online. And I was like, oh, I enjoy talking to people on the internet. So I started mine then. Well, I've lost track, like what is time? 2020 maybe? I must have started mine. And yeah, it's great, isn't it, to find, I think you're less likely to find completely like-minded people in real life. Like online, you can kind of seek out your niche and go, you love Buffy too? Okay, tell me more. What else do you like about vampires? And like you can kind of really drill down, I think, and find people that are really similar to you.
Yes, that's the best part.
Yeah, it is. How about you, Michelle? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so my channel is Michelle's Melancholia, and I actually started at around the same time as Lauren did. So that's been really fun because we got to connect almost right from the beginning. And the reason I started my channel is because I basically talk about horror all the time, horror books, horror movies, and just in general, yeah, all kinds of things related to that. And I just want to talk about it with more people, which I've been very successful in doing. And also, my channel focuses mostly on kind of like supernatural horror. In real life, I am a pretty hardcore skeptic, but for some reason, I'm just so intrigued by everything paranormal and supernatural. Love reading about it, love watching it, and obviously love talking about it.
Same here. I definitely don't believe in like 99% of the stuff I read about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, particularly vampires for me, like writing and reading about them. It's just an instant. If I know vampires in a book, I'm like, yes,
Yes.
I'm going to read that. Although weirdly, when I come to show you the book I'm reading on the sprint, it isn't very in character for me, but I will explain. So let's go to the comments, and then in 1 minute, we will have a chat about what we're reading, and then we can go to the sprints, and I'll go and see what my toddler is doing upstairs. Sorry, there's comments on a slight delay. Hi, Stephen. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Charlie. I don't know whether you two know Charlie, but she's amazing. She has a UK YA book box that celebrates UK authors and has lots of fun goodies in. And she does lots of TikToks about promoting authors, especially UK ones. So we very much appreciate her. Hi, Lizzie. I have not read either of those books. Can either of you weigh in on what is the best thing to read?
I've heard a lot about the Night Circus, like a lot of positive things about that, but I'm not familiar with the other one.
No, me neither. I would
think
read The Night Circus.
Yeah, I think that's a middle grade book. Don't know much about it because, like you said, we kind of tend to read horror here. But yeah, maybe try the Night Circus a little longer, Lizzie. If you are enjoying it, or if you're undecided, maybe you could pick the other one up as a little break. Hi, Reka. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Caroline. Yes, always good, isn't it, to kind of broaden the horror family. So let us know in the comments what you are planning to read, or just say hi to Kasha, another hello
Kasha.
horror creator. Yes, all these spooky people are here tonight. This is awesome. We're definitely among friends. Sharon has got very hardcore horror tastes. Sharon can read quite scary stuff, so maybe she can give us some good recommendations. That sounds fun. I'd love to see pictures of those, Sharon. Please put those on your social media so we can see. So, to be completely contrary, I'm reading Upon a Frosted Star, which is a beautiful, romantic, whimsical book set just after World War One. It's described as a Great Gatsby meets Swan Lake retelling, written by my friend, which is one of the reasons Mia Kuznia, I read her first book, Midnight in Everwood, for adults. She's written kids ones too. And I absolutely loved it. And I was like, thank goodness, I love my friend's book. It isn't my usual thing, but she just, some people can write in that sensory way where you can breathe it in, you can feel everything. So I think what I like about really good horror, I also like about this, that you just feel like you're there with her, even though it's kind of sad and beautiful and romantic instead of terrifying. Is completely immersive. And I think this one comes out, does it say on the book? It comes out later this year. This is a proof copy. And interestingly, the proof opens the wrong way. So that's the front of it with the blurb.
That's hilarious. I didn't even realize that.
I know, honestly, when I was trying to take pictures of it, I was like, oh, that's really cool and interesting. And it's got like
the official cover because it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's got a double fake cover too.
Oh wow.
With extra information and yeah, that's just the proof cover. So I imagine the finished book is going to be amazing. So yeah, I'm reading something out of character. I'm also in the process of writing my third Mina book. I think I've written about 22,000 words. The first 15,000 came out really easily, and I thought, oh, amazing, this book's going really well. And the last bit has been a bit of a slog because I got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't know what happens next. So I'm just pushing through this patch of not knowing what happens and actually figuring out what's happened. How about you two? Michelle, have you got a reading plan for the evening?
So I'm hoping to start something new because I'm in between books right now. So I have some options and I was hoping you would help me out.
We like options.
Yeah, the first one I have is episode 13 by Craig DeLuey, and this is like a new release. It has been getting amazing reviews, so I'm quite impatient to get to this one.
I've just ordered that because I saw it on Erin Megan's YouTube channel and just immediately sat there watching her video like, yes, ordering that straight away.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like found footage in book form, so that's exciting.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Then I have what I picked for an event called Folklore February. So I have The Child Thief by Brom, which is a Peter Pan retelling. So this is my other option. But then I realized I haven't actually read the source material, like the actual Peter Pan. Okay. So I went to my library and got it.
Okay.
Oh, it's a book? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's a book.
Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a tiny children's book, I guess. So
that makes sense. Then it becomes Disney. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's quite gentle as far as classic children's literature goes, because sometimes it's terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah.
I personally would read episode, I've totally forgotten what it's called, but the found footage
episode 13.
Episode 13. I don't know about you. You were nodding, Lauren. Do you agree with me on that one?
Yeah, because, okay, I'm also doing Folklore February. I'm kind of like wrapping up my stuff for that. But I also I have it too, and I think I'm like on page 10. So I think this would be my vote for you to read that. And then I'll read this one too, because I was also thinking about also this new release Gothic by Philip Fracassi, which I've heard a lot of things about and I really like it. But I'm trying to get this done before Amy Noel reads. She has her little discussion thing. So this would be my vote. And if you do read it, I'll read this one.
Okay, let's do it.
I think you should read it together. I'm jealous now. I ordered mine from Book Depository, I think, and it hasn't arrived yet. I keep
really so late in the UK. I was so annoyed.
Yeah, no, I wish I'd known to pre-order it, but I was a bit too late. I also ordered one that Erin Megan mentioned called Found, I think, which is like an anthology of found footage short stories. Which looks like a VHS tape. It's really cool. So I'm probably going to read that next month. But I really want to read this one first. It's one of those stupid things where it doesn't come out till late in the year, and I'm like, I'm still going to drop everything and read it just because I really want to.
And I actually love Swan Lake so much. So
I think so. The last book that she wrote was quite kind of optimistic, and I think that this one might be a bit more like sad and melancholy. So it'll be interesting to see how her style's evolving and how she's exploring different tropes, because I don't know whether Midnight in Everwood. Oh, that was a Nutcracker retelling, I think, about a ballerina who her family wanted her to quit, and she'd got one performance left, and then she ends up getting sucked into this magical world where she can dance forever if she chooses. But it's, of course, more kind of sinister than it seems. So it does still have that touch of darkness to it. It's not completely sweet.
I love ballet, so I'm actually going to go get that one as well.
I think you should. I think you'd like it. If you like that kind of thing, she does
Yeah.
the retelling thing really well. That it feels like the thing she's retelling, but it's not like, oh, this is just the same thing again.
Mhm.
Yeah, I haven't read any Brom actually. Have you? Mentioning the Peter Pan one, would that be your first Brom book?
Yes, it will be my first one.
Because I think it's Slewfoot by Brom as well. I see that around a lot.
And the Krampus one.
Yes. Yeah, I need to.
I'm
They all
reading that
sound super
Krampus one,
interesting. How is that? Is it good?
Oh, I want to read that one.
Oh,
This
sorry. So you
December.
said you are reading it.
I learned about it too late for past December, and
Yeah.
I guess I'm like super seasonal, so I'm like, oh, it'd be weird to read it right now. But I like have a Krampus crush. Like I feel like my December's gonna be all about Krampus. I'm late to the Krampus game. That's my problem.
Yeah, I only just discovered Krampus too. I just watched it this Christmas. Because
The
every year,
movie?
yeah, I do the same as you. I'm like,
good.
I want to watch Krampus, and then Christmas passes, and I'm like, I can't watch Krampus in January.
Oh, I love it. That ending was so good. Oh, so good.
Okay, let's see what the people in the comments are doing. I'm sorry, I feel like, Phoebe on Friends, the bit where she starts singing Smelly Cat in her bluesy voice. I feel like I'm talking like that. So I don't know if it sounds good or if it sounds terrible, but okay, so you do need to read both of them. Interesting. I would do a bit of Kasha is really good on sprints. If she's got multiple things on the go, she sort of is really disciplined and like reads a bit of each one. So maybe try and read a bit of each one if you do need to. And if one captures you, you can go with it. Excellent. Oh, I need to look at your books, Loose Charlie. I've been thinking of getting one and I keep forgetting. So remind me. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I've been sent some really quality books recently, and it is a perk. I have to, stay up late writing books, but I get sent really cool ones. I've just finished one actually that I think you two would like, called Burn the Negative, which is, I think it's coming out in June or July, and it's about a girl who starred in a horror movie, like a cult movie when she was a child. She was like one of those creepy children, and they're remaking it, and she's a journalist, and she gets sent to investigate it. And the original set was cursed and loads of people died, and they're remaking it and the same thing starts happening again. It's really good.
Sounds
Ooh.
amazing.
Yeah, I
Sounds
just
like
finished
The
that.
Exorcist, like
Yeah,
the lore around that film.
Yeah, there's loads of lore. It's got little bits of mixed media in as well, and it reminded me of like Nightmare on Elm Street meets Candyman, I would say. I nearly said Carrie, that's the wrong horror film.
What?
Yeah,
When is that
yeah.
release date? Does it have anything that's like concrete when it's coming out?
I think it's June. But yeah, Burn the Negative by Josh Winning. I would definitely recommend it. My reading has been like ridiculous recently. Like, do you ever go through a patch and you're reading just amazing books all the time? Doesn't always happen to me, but right, let's see who we've got. Oh, everything's jumping around. Oh, excellent, Kasha. Let us know what that's like because I love CJ Tudor. I haven't read that one yet. I haven't heard of that. That sounds interesting. I like a curse. Yeah, I feel like this might be our kind of book, Kasha. Maybe we could buddy read it if my copy ever turns up. Hi, Naomi. Thank you for joining us. Oh, as if you're on holiday, Naomi, joining us on Sprints. That is dedication. And Naomi is also an author. She writes, I always pause when I say the genre because it's like sci-fi romantic thrillers, I would say. And her recent one that came out, Game Over Girl, is really cool. It's about a girl who is kind of a novice when it comes to virtual reality, and she ends up being chosen to play this virtual reality game, given all these rules, and she starts breaking the rules, and like stuff seeps into her life. It's really good, and it's kind of got lots of secrets, and the virtual reality game's kind of hiding her secrets, so you find them as you go on. It's very good. And yeah, we love Naomi. I think if I'm right, Naomi's book might have been in Charlie's box, so we're kind of all these people seem to have connections with each other. It's very lovely. This is what we love about social media, isn't it? We all know each other in these different little pockets. So I think it might be a good time to go to a sprint. I don't know whether you two have seen my sprints before, and if there's any new people, I'll just explain. We always do a bit of chat, 40 minutes, more chat, 40 minutes, more chat, by which point I'm incoherent, and I always decide I'm doing 30 minutes for the last one because I would start spilling secrets and just talking nonsense. So yeah, 40, 30. So we tend to be done about 10 o'clock UK time. I've got no idea what time that'll be for you, Lauren, but I feel like that will still be quite early into your day. So you will still have plenty of day left. It was in the December box. Yeah, I thought I'd seen that all over social media. Excellent. Right. I can hear a tiny person calling my name, so that might be a good time to go to sprints. So clearly the going to sleep thing was a huge success. I'm going to pop the Pomodoro Kitty on. It will meow at you in 40 minutes. So let us know in the comments what you're reading, and we will see you on the other side. See you.
Okay.
Bye. Hello, everyone. Hope the kitty didn't get you too much. Are we both okay?
Yes.
Good. I still have an awake toddler who's
Oh.
so ready. So bedtime at 7 tonight has just gone completely off the grid. So I think in the next sprint I'll probably pop up again and see if I can get him to go to sleep, which is very unusual. So I don't know what's happening. But I still managed to write, I think, about 600 words. So I'm really happy with that. I kind of was in the middle. Thank you. I wrote 1,000 words earlier when my mum was with me, so I was able to get the laptop out for a quick write. And I find that if I leave it in the middle of a scene and pick it up later, I can kind of get straight back into it. And I did that sort of accidentally. So did no reading. I did bring Burn the Negative to show you both. So this, I think, is the proof. I don't know whether it's going to have a different cover. It comes out on the 11th of July from Putnam Sons, which is a Penguin imprint. I think it's a US one, but it is on UK websites because I checked it. It's on Amazon and stuff. So if anybody is interested, this is the book I was talking about. So I think, yeah, everybody's on mute now. So Michelle, how did you get on with your reading in that little
Good. So I just started episode 13. I read up to page 26. I mean, I know it's only page 26, but I think I love it.
Oh, cool.
It has everything I love, like obviously the paranormal investigators, but also these one of the members of the team is a physicist, so they're the ones who try to approach this from like a very scientific perspective. And yeah, I just love all of those things. Also, these kind of like very journalistic but carefully documented instances of paranormal activity, that's also what I'm getting. Yeah, so it has all the ingredients there, so if it pulls it off, I think I'm going to really really like it.
Oh, that sounds so good. And I love it when you pick up a book and you instantly know, because I think sometimes it takes me a while, and others, like, you read the first page, you're like, yes, that's what I did with this one. And yeah, okay, I've read half a page, I'm with it till the end of this book. How about you, Lauren? Did you end up reading the same book?
Yeah, this definitely is like a really good one for you, Michelle, because of like the little ghosties, then like the skepticism in there. I read to page 40 because I was already on like page 20. And you read the part where the ex police officer is sharing his background, right? That was so wild. Yeah. So there's some like there's like some stuff that's already, even as like they're setting up the characters and like their relationship to the show that they're on, the ghost hunting show. It's cool to see that. Like, I was a little nervous that there'd be a lot of characters. They're like saying their names, and I was like, okay, am I gonna remember these people? Like, they're just throwing a lot at you, but then they like give you those little pieces of fragments of media, or like what I like to call primary sources, I guess, is like the history teacher I am, to like get to know them a little bit, so they don't seem just like names. So I'm really liking it. I don't have too much familiarity with found footage. I've seen maybe a few films. Like the one film that's found footage, I think it's called As Above, So Below or something. It's where like they're in the French.
Yeah.
It's the one with the French catacombs, right? They're like down below. Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. But yeah, so I'm super unfamiliar with the genre, but I think I'm liking it. I think it's really cool.
I think the most similar found footage movie would be, I think it's called, I maybe get it wrong, sorry, but I think it's called Haunt. So because the format of that movie is made as a documentary, so obviously it's all
Okay.
fake. So it when you watch it, it's like you are watching a documentary, and they are talking about events that happened at one of these haunted houses where you go in and people scare you. So I think it's very similar to this one, because this is like trying to make documentation on what happened.
That sounds very good.
I highly recommend. I'm pretty sure it's called Haunt, but sorry if you look it up and it's not that one.
Kasha might tell us in the comments. She seems to have watched every horror film I want to see, but I'm sure you're right. I've got a terrible memory for titles of books, people's names. Like, I don't know. Is this the thing of being in my 30s, that I think I've accumulated too much information? I'm like, I just discard what I don't think I need to remember. Let's see how the people in the comments are doing. Yes, I mean, getting your books featured in one of Charlie's boxes is awesome. Morning, evening, It's always very confusing talking to people around the world. Good morning, John. Hi, Mika, is it? Thank you for joining us. I mean, it's the perennial like time suck, isn't it? That you flick through TikTok. I was flicking for a while last night and then got to one of those videos that was like, have you been flicking through TikTok too long? And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I better do some reading now.
That's why I won't get one. I'm like, no TikTok.
I held off for so long, but it is so addictive. And it's another really nice place to connect with really like-minded people. Like I filmed at a Stephen King collection and somebody noticed the Point Horror books above it and they were like, oh, let me talk to you about Point Horror. And I just love that. They're like, I wasn't even trying to feature that, but I ended up having a nice conversation with somebody. So it's quite deadly. It is very addictive. Nice. Yes. Thank you for joining us, Naomi, while you're on holiday. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I am at the minute, Kirsty. Like, I feel like I'm in a time loop of it should be, 8:30, Toddler should have been asleep for a while. Not happened. So, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I think that's also a fair assessment. What are words? Yeah, I get that, Kirsty. I hope you're managing to get some writing done too. Kirsty and I have been on sprints together and done some writing, and I always find that really motivating when people are there, like churning through the words, and I'm trying to do the same thing. So the next sprint, then, I think, I assume you two are both going to carry on your books, the same book.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what you both think of it, because I think, Michelle, it maybe sounds like more your normal kind of thing that you'd read, and then Lauren, it's kind of, is it? I think you still read horror and stuff, don't you? But this is maybe not exactly your specific niche.
Yeah, it's like it's a very big book, but it's like almost it's 430 pages, but it's like kind of pieced in a way that I'm not familiar with. Just you kind of like get different perspectives, like you're jumping around to people's different perspectives and things aren't being told to you outright. And so I guess my concern would be like the atmosphere, like how are they going to with like what I guess they refer to like epistolary or whatever the term is for found footage media. How are they going to create like a vibe? Yeah, how are they going to create like a vibe and like an atmosphere, which is something I really like about horror books. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's the description in between that I'm interested to see. Like, the bit where the main character's just doing their thing and they're in a scene and something's on their peripheral vision or whatever, like how you would capture that.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I'm interested because I read the Illumini Files, the YA book, and I had a similar question about that. It's like sci-fi, and there's no narrative. It is all just written through little bits of like found footage, scripts of conversations, I think bits of social media and stuff. And I actually found that felt like a narrative, even though it wasn't. So I think if it's done well, it is manageable. But I think the reason you don't see as much of it is just because it's so hard to execute. And like you said, if it doesn't get the atmosphere and it's a horror book, then, that is kind of game over, isn't it? But I've heard a lot of good things about it. So hopefully it will have that. And you're both still reading, so that's a good sign.
The negative thing I think I've only read about this book was from a vlog that Jordana reads, that she has like a YouTube channel. She mentioned not really liking it. So I don't know. I guess she felt like it was, the ending was weird, or I don't know. I think that ending has been kind of controversial for people. So makes me more curious.
Yeah, I know. Like, why is it controversial? I need this book. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you two, but I tend to hear stuff like that. Like, even if a book is like absolutely panned by everyone, I sometimes still want to read it. If it sounds like something I'm going to like, I tend to still go for it. And if I hear stuff like that there's a wild ending, I'm like, yes, I want that. I need it.
Yeah, I think controversial endings, I think they have to do something right, because you get people talking about your ending, then.
Yeah, I mean, it's all quite subjective, isn't it? That for one person, controversial is another person satisfying, like happy ending. But that one is.
Also,
sorry.
Some people like to have an ending that really resolves everything, whereas some people really enjoy like ambiguous endings, or when the reader gets to have their own interpretation of what happened. So it's very personal, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I think the whole reading experience, that's why I like these YouTube things. I did a live stream recently for the YA Book Club that I've just started, and there was like one person in the chat, Lizzie, who's here, which she won't mind me saying, that she didn't vibe with the book. And I was like, I actually kind of like that. I don't think we all need to agree when we're having a discussion about it. We've not kind of come here to necessarily all praise it. We've kind of come to share our honest opinions, and I like that. I think this is going to be a good book to discuss. I'm going to make sure I read it soon, and then I can talk to you both about it and see where I fall in the discussion and see what Cash has got to say. Could it be that Haunters, The Art of the Scare, that was about Halloween haunted houses?
Ooh, I'm gonna look that up.
Oh, could
I
that be
love
something?
documentaries.
Yeah, it's fun. So yeah, no, I looked it. Yeah, it's called Haunt from
Okay.
the year 2019. So this is a
Okay, cool.
fictional documentary.
Oh, so we could watch the non-fiction
Yeah,
one that Heather's
yeah.
recommending.
Ooh,
And
it's on Tubi.
I'm not going to say anything about this book, but have either of you read Chasing the Boogeyman while we're on the subject of
No.
fiction, non-fiction? I really recommend that one. I'm not going to say anything about it because it's one of those books that I think it's good to go into not really knowing much, but it's about a guy who is gone back to the town where he used to live, and these murders start happening, and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of a slow burner for me because I'm used to reading YA that's really punchy and fast paced, but that's a good one if you like the kind of true crime feel.
Mhm.
Okay, before I spoil that book completely, I'm gonna tell where we got up to it in the comments. I'm gonna try and write a bit more. Well, put my toddler to bed if he's not asleep. It's quiet upstairs, so I'm hopeful. So I'll disappear and come back. But we will do another 40 minutes and then have a chat, and hopefully I will get some things done as well as putting a child to bed. So we will put the kitty back on, and we'll see you on the other side. Let us know in the comments how you're getting on with your read. Bye. completely missed that.
No worries.
I've never done that before. I was trying to catch up on stuff on my phone and watching something on TV and apparently failing miserably at the two. Sorry to keep everybody waiting. I hope you had a good time reading. I ended up kind of hitting more than my daily word count, so I stopped, and that's when I think everything went downhill and I lost track of what I was doing. So how did you get on, Michelle, during that sprint?
Yeah, good. I'm now up to page 51. And as Lauren said, yeah, we're just getting to know each of the characters better and have some journal entries so we get to know them individually rather than just like as the research team. So that's been
Okay.
very interesting. I don't really know where this is going, but I'm intrigued, definitely.
Okay, that's good. How about you, Lauren? Are you still enjoying it? I'm guessing you're a little bit further on in the plot now.
Yeah, a smidge. I'm on page 76,
Okay.
and that was in the middle of, it's supposed to be a Kodak 8mm film camera like summary. So it's interesting to see how they're using different sources to kind of communicate things. And that one is giving us some background on the project, I think like in the 70s with like the researchers conducting their experiments in the place. So I thought that was like interesting. That's helpful. It's kind of giving a ominous, like spooky vibe. I feel like the use of like Kodak, like old film, is in my mind visually like super creepy and purposely disjointed in like films. So I feel like I have that background already. So then I kind of can create that visual in my head. So I'm liking it. I'm ready for, I gotta be patient, but I'm ready for it to like crank up a notch. But there's like few things here and there that are scary, but I don't know. I gotta be patient. I get that way. I gotta like just relax, enjoy it.
No, I think I'm the same, and you're sort of not far off a quarter of the way through the book, so you're kind of getting to the point, aren't you, where you think that the plot needs to get going now.
Yes, yeah, I'm hoping by like the 100-page mark that something more substantial happens with the house itself.
I'm so excited about this. I'm intrigued as well by the fact that there's ways that they're creating atmosphere, like being creative with the type of film they're using and stuff, as opposed to being able to describe it like you would a normal narrative. That sounds cool. I've always wondered, like, I've tried to find found footage novels, and it seems to be quite rare. So I'm excited I've managed to find a couple.
It's not easy to convey different like pieces of information. Yeah, but it's working well so far. It also reminded me of two podcasts because I also was curious about to see how the found footage style would work in different medias. So I also looked podcasts that were this kind of storytelling, and I really liked the Black Tapes.
Yes, that's so good. I listened to that years ago, and I didn't actually finish it. I don't know, is it still going, or is it one of those?
No, I think it's stopped. But I think I've listened to a podcast like 3 times. It's like my comfort listen. It's just so good.
I've never heard of it. What's it about?
So it's about a I don't know how it starts. It's about this man who is like a skeptic, and he's like a risk investigator as well, and he claims that he will debunk any evidence of the paranormal that he's presented, but if there is something that actually he can't debunk and has to accept it's paranormal, he will give like a lot of money. So he has like his black tapes, which are the cases that he hasn't been able to debunk.
Okay, so then he's like sharing the files with you, the media.
Yeah.
In the episode. Okay, gotcha. Cool. That does sound interesting.
Yeah, but
so is it meant to be real? I never worked out. Is it meant to be real, or is it one of those that's fake but
it's
presented
fake,
as real?
but it sounds like it's real. So it's made to sound like it's an actual podcast that's doing this.
Yeah, I like that because I don't think I listened to enough to know whether it was fake or not, and that was like good to me that I was listening to it thinking it could be real, because when I saw the Blair Witch Project back in the day, I was 15 when it came out of the cinema, so I went in thinking it was real because that's what all the marketing at the time said. So it was like, this footage has really been found, and like it's the first time they're going to put like footage of murdered people.
Yeah,
you know,
terrifying.
Yeah, so I was really scared of it, and I think it's a scary film anyway. But watching it, thinking it was actually real people that you were seeing. And then I read all the stuff afterwards. So it all started to come out when they did interviews and things. I was like, oh, busted. But yeah, I'm interested in that because it is, you read books and kind of suspend your disbelief, don't you? And it starts to feel really real. It's interesting when it's presented to you as fact. And then sometimes you get to the end and you're like, oh, that wasn't real. Like, I don't know. I like that. I think it's quite interesting.
I think that's what the book tries to do. Like in the beginning, there's like the editor's note or whatever, where they like kind of set it up in a way that like, oh, this is what happened, and you make your own like assumptions or whatever based off of what you have, and try not to be biased. Like here's all the stuff. So that's the book does that too.
Yeah, I like that. I think Dracula did that at the beginning, didn't it? Some like omniscient person says like, this is the collection of stuff that I've pieced it together in the best order that I can, and I always think that's great. I really like it, that extra bit of effort to make it seem believable. Let's go to the comments and see how people are doing. Well done, Lizzie. You're so fast at reading. I need to do some reading in the next one. Excellent. I don't remember whether you told us what you were reading, Sharon, but let us know if you are reading something good. I think in Last Sprint, I'm going to try and read. I'm picking up the wrong book now. You see, this is what happens. I warned you that I would get Let's Go Here, and I'm going to pick up this one, Upon a Frosted Star by, she's called M.A. Kujnir as her adult writing name, but Mia Kujnir. So I'm going to try and read a little bit more of this.
Yeah, I really want to know what you think about it.
Yeah, I like it. So far, I'm at that like 30 pages in where, a bit like you are in yours, is kind of setting the scene and establishing the tone. And it's really beautiful. I'm not quite at the main plot yet, I don't think. Yeah, are you two going to carry on reading the spooky book at the end? I always get a bit scared to read them at this time of night.
I'm mostly a one book at a time person. Well, one book and one audiobook at a time. So
I'm so terrible.
It's bright over here, so I'm ready for the scares.
Yeah, that's true. You're not at the scary time of day. I was reading Burn the Negative last week in my sprints, and I got nearly to the end. You know that bit in a horror film where like all hell is breaking loose? I was at that bit of the book, and I was like, do I carry on reading this, or am I going to give myself nightmares? I had some really weird dreams actually after I read it. But yeah, I read about 10 books at the same time sometimes.
Oh wow.
Just because things happen. Like this book arrived today, and I was like, oh, or was it yesterday? I'm gonna read this straight away, and I'm already reading several things, and I just do that on repeat. And like you said, I have an audiobook on the go, I have a Kindle book on the go, and before you know it, it just kind of escalates. I say every year, I'm gonna not do that again, and then I do it. I can't help myself. The only problem is if I end up reading, like recently, I ended up reading 2 YA thrillers at the same time, and I got so confused about who was who and like which characters were in which book. So yeah, I wouldn't read the same genre, I don't think. But I like you said, like you've kind of got to push through the horror now because you're reading one book, but I can go, oh, I'm going to read this nice book at the end of the day. So that's kind of my thinking with that one. Sharon is reading. Ooh, that sounds interesting. I don't think I've heard of that author or title. How about you two? Have you heard of that?
But I love the idea of a supernatural thriller because I don't really like. I'm kind of like on thrillers, but if you add like the paranormal, like I read The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon, which I feel like could be probably categorized as a supernatural thriller. And I like that. So I like the idea of something a little more like out there for a thriller.
Yeah, it just makes it a bit less predictable, doesn't it? Because I think thrillers are constrained, aren't they, by certain tropes? I mean, some of them can absolutely shock you and, you know, pull the rug out from under you. But yeah, I think I like it when there's different dimensions. Like I was mentioning about Naomi's YA sci-fi thriller. I like the fact that it's got the sci-fi angle to it, to just give it something else. Oh, sorry, the comments jumping all over the place on me. Yeah, I'm with you, Lizzie. I think when I was younger, I did used to sort of read what I thought I was meant to be reading, and now I'm like, there's so many books. I'm going to put one down if I'm not feeling it. And I've ended up embroiled in various, like, Point Horror Book Club is one thing, so I try and read a Point Horror month, and I'm doing a YA book club. So I think I have all these different commitments as well. So I'm like, I need to read that book and that one, and it all spirals out of control. The Book of Shadows about Salem. That sounds really cool. I like stuff to do the witch trials.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that. And like Lizzie, I know is like me that she reads like for different reading groups and stuff. So I think sometimes you end up reading something, don't you, that's not 100% your thing. So it's nice to introduce like other books to keep going. Because we read The The Witchery this month, which I really enjoyed actually for the YA Book Club, but it's not my usual genre at all because it's like urban fantasy, I would say, not heavy fantasy, but I'm still not a big fantasy reader, so I kind of had to read it in small chunks, and then like I'm going to read a bit of horror just to get back to my normal stuff that I read. So I think it's 9:30. That's probably a good time for us anyway. Sorry, Lauren, I'm just like I don't know what time it is for you. I'm really bad at time zones. So if we do another half an hour, I'll just change the kitty. I'll try not to miss this one. I do blame being ill and like completely losing my routine with like a wake toddler. He did go to sleep in that last sprint, by the way. So we have a sleep toddler, but went to bed like 2 hours later than normal. So who knows how that will go? I know. They're strange little people. Like you think with a toddler that you've got something sorted, and then like it just completely
Never.
changes. So yeah, they keep you on your toes all the time. Okay, so the kitty is ready. I think we are ready. So I'm interested to see how you two get on after another half an hour on this book, and I'll try and concentrate this time and see you in half an hour. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
though. I was actually watching that time, so I'm back. Read a nice little chunk of this book, which is really good. It's sort of hit into the plot now. So the main protagonists have met each other and starting to discover secrets about each other. I'm talking code because I don't want to ruin it, but yeah, it's really good. And it's described as Swan Lake meets Great Gatsby. And it's definitely got the kind of feel of both of those, which is great. So how about you, Lauren? How did you get on in that book?
I got to page 112 and I'm getting into a groove of it. I feel like I understand the characters, their backstory, what they're kind of going into the haunted house, like thinking about prior that would like maybe contribute to what goes down. They've had their first like big moment in their hunt, which is cool to see. And I think the one issue, I guess kind of issue I'm experiencing is like they're talking a lot about the science of all their like tech. And I get why they're doing that because they want to make sure we understand when we experience something, like what's going on and like what the tool is. But it might be a little like, I don't know, I think my eyes kind of gloss over at those parts.
Yeah, that's me. When I read like adult sci-fi novels, I tend to me be really into telling you about how the tech works rather than just accepting it's there in the world. And I just get so lost. I really can't. Like, I don't think I can keep a narrative flow while I'm reading stuff like that. So I'm glad you kind of warned me. I think I might be skipping through those bits when I read it, probably.
So maybe they're useful. I'm not too sure. I think it might be like they'll have like a page where like their diary entries. Well, they'll talk about like this tool. It's the tech guy and then another investigator. They're like they've had their own like unique individual journal entries where they bring up the science. And I'm like, okay, I think you're telling me this because something's going to go down later on. I feel like I need to know the background on this tool, so I'll have to trust. But I'm like you. I kind of like it doesn't hold my attention as much.
Yeah, I think if you think it's going to be for a purpose, like I don't know whether you two have read Horror Store by Grady Hendrix, but it's set out like an IKEA book for anybody who hasn't read it. And as I was reading these little IKEA ads to begin with, I was like, these are just normal IKEA type adverts. Like, what is it? And then as the book goes on, you're like, oh, okay, these are changing slightly. So I think sometimes there's something you don't kind of get earlier on, and hopefully it will become clear as it goes through.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's good. That's a good comparison.
So hopefully you'll get something out of the tech of it. So how about you, Michelle? How far have you got into the book so far?
Page 63. I feel like as the night goes on, I read slower and slower. But yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying it. As I said, it just has everything I love. So yeah, I'm just having fun with it. There was like a really interesting part where it's basically a transcript of what's going on in the video, and there's like a small jump scare. But obviously, it doesn't work on the book as well as it would work on like TV. But I found it really funny just to read it in text and be like, oh, this was supposed to be a jump scare, but obviously it didn't scare me.
Jump scares, I find them so difficult to write, even in narrative, because I think the way I read is I do quite a lot of skipping and read really fast. So when I read a jump scare, I've often kind of read that it's going to happen before I've actually read the bit that came before. So I think when I'm writing them, I'm always like, oh, I really want this to work. So yeah, I think that must be really hard to pull off when you haven't got the benefit of narrative as well to like lead the reader through it.
I always do this thing whenever I hit like a really suspenseful part in a book where I just have to cover the bottom of the page because I just want to go line by line.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I need to probably 100%. Do that. Like put a piece of like some children when I used to be a teacher and when I was teaching them to learn how to read, some children needed like a piece of paper there to kind of just unravel the narrative at the pace that they needed. So maybe I should do that. Then I won't. I'm really bad too. I always skip to see how long a chapter is. I can't read a chapter unless I know. And the amount of times I flick and I'm like, oh, I've just read the last line of that. Never mind. Which
these chapters are short.
Yeah, and this book has quite short chapters as well. And it's not the kind of like there's not cliffhangers and stuff because of the romantic type of book it is. So I haven't ruined anything yet, but I do keep just flicking. Because you see a bit of white space coming, you're like, oh, how much have I got left to read? And then you read fast and you read a whole paragraph by mistake. So let's see, there's a couple of comments popped up. I'll see how people are doing before we wrap this up. I hope you got to join in the last sprint, Nicole. Looking at the time, you probably did. I still haven't read a Colleen Hoover book. How about you two? Have you read any Colleen Hoover?
I read It Ends With Us last year.
Yeah.
I really didn't like it, but I have to accept that it was also my fault because I'm the type of person that never reads what the books are about. Like I never read the back of books or anything. I just go in if it sounds remotely good. And I thought it was a thriller. And I think it's because I got confused with Verity and I had heard
Yes.
like on BookTube that she had a thriller that was wild. So I was like, this must be the one. And then I read it and it was just not that.
It was not the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought Verity because people said that it was different, and it kind of is that the one with an author in it too, I think. And I'm always interested in books about writers. So yeah, I bought that but have not read it yet because I hear stuff about her books and I'm like, I don't think they're for me. So I feel like if I read it, I wouldn't get that full experience of somebody who likes that kind of book.
Mhm.
So I don't know, maybe I'll read Verity at some point, but yeah, the more I hear it, the more I kind of think it's not a genre that I'm that into. But maybe I should push myself a little bit and try it. Let's see, Lizzie, you're doing so well. I'm glad you pushed through with that. I hope it's helped you because I know you're trying to catch up with your buddy read on that one. So I think that brings us kind of to the end of the chat. It's gone 10 o'clock for us anyway. And Lauren, as promised, I don't like to go too much later than 10 because this is the time I go to bed and I become not as clear as I could be with my speech. But thank you so much, you two. I've really enjoyed chatting to you as I knew I would. It's just nice to find, I think when I put these group things together, obviously you know each other. It's nice to find a good dynamic where we're all on the same page. So I hope you'll come back and do this with me again.
Yeah, for sure.
We could all read the same book at some point. That would be fun.
I know. We were literally on the same page. Like,
Yeah.
that's funny, we're the same book, Michelle.
I mean, the perfect people to ask. I mean, it's happened before in sprints. I think the weirdest one is always if I go on one or I'm watching one and I see my own book on there as well. That's always like, whoa. I need to not watch that person's face while they're reading. I once saw somebody reading, I think it's the first Mina book, and she was about halfway through it, which is when everything kind of kicks off, and I kept seeing her face like, and like, and then reading it again, and I was like, oh, I hope that's a good.
I feel like yes, that has to be good.
Yeah,
yeah, I think it was ultimately. But yeah, I think it is just a nice dynamic, isn't it, of reading with people? Like, I don't think as an author you kind of expect to see somebody actually reading your book in real time, and as a reader, like reading at the same time as somebody reading the same book, I think is just really cool. Everybody's saying good night to us, so I'll just go through a few good nights. Thank Kirsty. Thank you. Good night. And oh, sorry, my mouse is jumping all over the place. And enjoy the rest of your day, Lauren.
Good night.
And I think that is us. So I'm going to sign off now. We will be doing sprints again next Thursday. I think I've got some other people coming on for that. I'll let you know if they've ever changed. I'm just thinking I've got a school visit next Thursday because it's World Book Day, but I'll still be sprinting, even though I may be tired after a day with Year 8 students all day, which isn't the age I used to teach. So that'll be interesting. I don't know, that might be 8th grade for you. I'm not sure how it correlates, Lauren. They're like 13 to 14, I think.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be 8th grade. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you teach, like all the grades with teaching history?
I just teach high school, so my credentials for high school, and so I typically teach juniors, so they're going to be like 16, 17.
Okay, that's interesting because I think the secondary teachers in the UK, the schools that I've been in, certainly, like you'd say if you teach English, you might teach everybody from like age 11 to maybe 18 or 16.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think some people, if it's more specialist subjects, like say economics, that would only be for older people, then they would just teach that. And some teachers just have varied classes. But yeah, I think some do that whole range, which must be quite a stretch to go from an 11-year-old to an 18-year-old in the space of a day. Anyway, see what happens. I'm rambling. We'll talk about teaching when we're not on camera. But I'm going to end it there before I ramble anymore. So good night, everyone, and we'll see you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
I will see the two of you off camera in a moment, but yeah, off live anyway. So see you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.